Good morning from the Nova Open. We have Anthony Trentinelli's Flesh Eater Courts versus Dale Irvin's Seraphon today to start things off. Two armies that we have not yet had on stream today. So super excited and trying to bring you guys a variety of armies throughout our coverage before we get into what's essentially going to be the top 8, where we're highly expecting there to be some OBR on stream. So trying to bring you some variety here. Both these players are 3-0. Both of them also were players in our Thursday Invitational. You can check out the round 2, 3, and 4 coverage of the Invitational under the live streams on this channel, as well as the first 3 rounds of Nova Open GT, also on this channel. Today we'll be bringing you round 4, 5, and 6 coverage. That's 3 games today, as well as 2 more tomorrow. So if you found this channel, you found the right place. So our players, Anthony Trentinelli, no stranger to the top tables. He's running Flesh Eater Courts, this madman. So Anthony was looking at the stats and saw that Death seems to be in the meta right now. So he's like, alright, I'm going to bring out a Death army. But don't think he quite got the memo that the Death in the meta is mostly Soulblight Gravelords and Osiarch Bone Reapers, because he brought Flesh Eater Courts in this economy. He's running Hollowmourne. This is the Crypt Horror sub-faction. And in his list, he's got an important Ghoul King on Royal Terrorgeist as his general, with the Gruesome Bite mount trait, of course, so that Terrorgeist, that mount trait, lets him reroll his hit rolls on the mount, which does a flat 6 mortal wounds on a 6. So that single model, it's 450 points of pure terror. That will kill anything that Dale has on the table if he gets into combat. He's also got a Crypt Haunter Courtier. That's one of the hero versions of the Crypt Horrors, as well as a Vargolf Courtier and 2 Abhorrent Archregents. Abhorrent Archregents, they do count as Antorian Locust. They do have a once per battle summon, where he can either summon in 3 Knights, 20 Crypt Ghouls, or a Courtier. The Abhorrent Ghoul King on Royal Terrorgeist can summon in 3 Knights, which are Crypt Horrors or Flayers. Flayers and Crypt Ghouls did have a recent change to their War Scroll in the recent Dawnbringer's book. So they did get, in some cases, the Crypt Horrors did get a huge buff for just being able to auto wound on 5s and 6s. In the Flayers case, it's kind of debatable whether they got a buff. Their range attack got moved to just like a rend 1, like I think it's 1 or 2 damage shooting profile, whereas before it was a bravery attack and you'd roll against your opponent's bravery and do mortal wounds. So against some things, they got a big buff. Against some things with a very low bravery, it was a bit of a nerf. But to round out his list, he's got not 1, but 2 units of Crypt Horrors. These are big, beefy ghouls that have 4 wounds each, so he's got 9 in a unit. And the reason he's got 2 Courtiers already in his list is at the start of his hero phase, he can pick one of those units within 9 and roll 6 dice, and every 5 up he gets to return a Crypt Horror to that unit. So he could be down to like 1 Crypt Horror in a unit and quickly regenerate that back to 9 in 1 hero phase. And then for his 3rd battle line, just a unit of 10 Crypt Ghouls. And with 1 endless spell for the Aether Void Pendulum. That's a big pendulum that he gets to get summoned out. Just goes in a straight line. Does D6 mortal wounds on a 2-up to anything it passes across. He did take the Antorian Locust, the Antorian Acolytes battalion. So he will get chances to roll for extra primal dice, which will be huge in this matchup because he's playing against Lord Croak himself and Seraphon. So we will need those tools and resources to be able to shut down the casting of Seraphon. Seraphon, very dominant in the hero phase. Most of the damage output you'll see from the Seraphon list is going to happen in the hero phase, mostly from Croak, also Comet's Call from the Slan, endless spells that he'll be slinging out. So if Anthony's able to get some good unbinds, halt some of that damage, and be able to get into combat, he'll be able to start picking up the Seraphon. Seraphon not the most durable in combat, especially in these kind of Starborn sub-factions where they don't have any defensive capabilities, like usually reliant on skinks, summoning them for screens. Basically everything in Anthony's list will absolutely delete skinks. So let's take a look at Dale's list. Dale Irvin running Starborn Fangs of Sotek. So this is going to allow him to redeploy multiple skink units at a time, which is going to be huge against a melee army like Anthony's. So he's going to have to be very careful with his movements. We do have that Slant Star Master, Comet's Call. He's also got a Lord Croak, of course. Lord Croak, known to just do a ton of AoE mortal wounds, so area effect, hitting multiple units around them. A Saurus Astrolith Bearer providing ward saves to everything Holy Thing 12, as well as +1 casting for nearby wizards and extending the range of spells by 6 inches. He's also got a Skink Star Priest in his list. Interestingly enough, he has not elected to run the Star Seer. Star Seer does have a War Scroll spell to shut off ward saves, which, in a meta with a lot of OCR Bone Reapers, a lot of Soul Blight that have ward saves, is very useful. But no ward save turnoffs. Flesh Eater Courts do have 6-up wards on their entire army, so going to be able to mitigate some of the damage, but not all of it. He's also got 2 units of 10 skinks, actually 3 units of 10 skinks, and the standard 5 Saurus Guard. I say standard because the Saurus Guard, you get to bodyguard wounds off of heroes that are nearby. So pretty much every Seraphon player is going to include at least 1 unit of Saurus Guard in there to keep their Slan, their Croak, their key hero pieces alive. And you're probably wondering, sounds like a very light list, right? Of course, because for 480 points, he's running the Kronspine Incarnate of Gur. He's bound it to the Slan Star Master, which I find a little interesting here, because he wants to make that Kronspine wild. Once the Kronspine goes wild, it's able to run and charge. It gets +1 to hit all the time. And since he's got it bound to the Slant Star Master, he's got one less way to really make it wild. So there's a couple ways you can make wild, one of which is the new spell called Rupture, which he did put on his Star Priest. So if he's able to cast Rupture on the Kronspine, it will immediately go wild for the rest of the battle. But if he's unable to get Rupture off, I think it might have been a little easier if he just bound the Kronspine to that Star Priest, so he could just teleport the Star Priest and just let it die. Star Priest, 130 points. Outside of just casting this Rupture spell, not sure it's going to be a whole lot effective. So just having that extra tool to just be able to kill it and then make that Kronspine wild would be huge. So probably going to be looking for Anthony to be unbinding and using his Primal Dice to try to shut down that Rupture. But I do expect Dale to be putting that Star Priest all the way back in his corner outside of unbind range and just taking advantage of the extra 6-inch range for his spell casting to be able to Rupture this Kronspine and make it wild. He's also running 3 endless spells, taking Aether Void Pendulum himself as well for even more mortal wound output. He's got the Malevolent Maelstrom, which is very popular as GHB for only 30 points. If you cast any spells nearby, it ramps up in power, and once it hits 6, it blows up. But he doesn't have the Umbral Spell Portal to be able to sling it through, as we saw in our round 2 coverage with Leo's Nagash list. So it's going to be a little dangerous if he summons it too close to himself, that he might detonate it on himself. And then he also has a Soul Scream Bridge for 80 points. So kind of curious how he's going to use this bridge. I'm assuming that what he's going to do is try to rupture the Kron Spine here to make it wild, and then send it through the Soul Screen bridge to get some extra movement. And once the Kron Spine is wild, you can't really issue it commands anyway. The drawback of the Soul Screen bridge is that if a unit teleports through it, it can't be issued commands till the next move phase or hero phase. So kind of getting around that in that you don't need to issue the Kron Spine any commands, and the Kron Spine will be able to potentially eat the bridge and level up, because I think the bridge is only a casting value of 5. Kron Spine does have the aura of everything re-rolling charges, so you could Soul Screen bridge it 9 inches away. It can then re-roll that charge and also potentially end that charge within 3 inches of the bridge to then Monstrous Rampage to eat the bridge, go to level 3. So he's got a huge threat piece that he can sling across the board potentially, and I think he's got to be very careful about his Terrorgeist, because the Terrorgeist only has a 4-up save, I believe 14 wounds still, so that Kron Spine can definitely kill that Terrorgeist in one go. And those are our list. Both players setting up the table still. Table's set up there into their deployment. The Seraphon list was down to, it looked like, a 2-drop. So Dale will have choice of whether he wants to go first or second. Curious to see what Anthony does here. I don't know if he's respecting the bridge. He is deploying both units of Cryptars right on the line, which means that Dale does have the opportunity here of potentially rupturing the Kron Spine, and if he can bridge it out, make that charge, and tie up both units of Cryptars, he's going to shut down most of Anthony's output there. So very curious if Anthony's either missing that combo or just says, no, I don't think my opponent's going to go for that. Dale also very likely to go second in this, because there's very little that Anthony can do. We've got the Kron Spine deployed on the right side, so Anthony's not going to want to send anything into that just yet. And Dale's using all of this terrain to his advantage to create choke points. See that large piece of terrain at the bottom of your screen? In the middle, he's deployed his Realm Shaper engine to just leave a little bit of gap there and plugged it up with Skinks. And his little hero bubble of Croak, the Slan, the Astrolith Bearer, all of that behind the Realm Shaper engine, and the Saurus Guard popping out right in front. Since Anthony doesn't really have any shooting that can touch his heroes, the Saurus Guard don't necessarily need to be hanging out with the heroes. They're able to just kind of move out on their own, be screens themselves. See Anthony with his 9-inch measuring sticks, making sure both his Vargul Courtier and Crypt Courtier are both within 9 inches of both of those units. He still has 10 ghouls to put down, which he's moving right now. And I believe very soon, after Anthony finishes deploying, we'll be underway into round 1. Our mission today, every step forward. So, kind of interesting deployment on this one. Your territory is basically like a finger hand pointing in a direction. It's 11 inches up. So, if we're looking from the bottom of the screen for Dale's deployment, his entire territory is 11 inches up on the table, but then from the center, those two middle objectives, the territories follow those all the way up, and then all the way across to the right. So if you draw kind of a zigzag from the left objective to the center, the center to the top center, the top one to the right. That's where the territories split. And then you have to deploy 9 inches from your opponent's territory. Scoring on this one, pretty standard. Hold 1, hold 2, hold more. 2 points for battle tactic. The special effect on this battle plan is give no ground. So if a unit makes a charge move, until the end of that turn, you add 1 to the number of models that each model in that unit counts for the purpose of contesting objectives. If a unit retreats until the end of the turn, models in that unit cannot contest objectives. So there will not be any retreating to take objectives. Exactly what Anthony wants to do here is just charge in, gobble up these dinos. It looks like he's going to aggressively go for that bottom left objective. He sees the Kronspine on the right side, says, I'm not going to tango with that. Might look like Anthony's in a little bit of a castle himself, but he does have 3 units that he's going to summon to this game. He can summon units of 20 ghouls, he can summon more courtiers, or he can summon units of 3 horrors or flayers. All of the units, when they get summoned in, have to be wholly within 6 of a table edge and 9 inches from enemy units. So that objective all the way on the top right, while he doesn't have anything on the table that could move to it, he does have the ability of summoning from that table edge and putting a unit onto it. So we'll see what they elect to do. Dale does have the choice of who goes first. And this will be a very technical game of dancing around. Anthony looking to avoid as many mortal wounds as he can in his opponent's hero phase. Dale himself looking to position his Kronspine to be a threat, be a bully, and avoid this hungry, ravenous ghoul pack from getting in and killing too much of his own stuff. As always, if there's any questions, feel free to pop them in chat. Hopefully everybody's doing well today. This is round 4 of our 8-round coverage. We'll have 2 more rounds today. After the next round, after round 5, there will be an hour-long break here where we're going to have a top 8 cut and then divide your remaining players into 8-player pods. And they'll be playing on, and all of their opponents will be at similar skill levels there in the standings. So traditional kind of 5-round GT, but then an extra 3 rounds where you're only playing at people who finished in the 5-round standings near you. We did have a huge game yesterday during our round 3. We did see that Gavin Greiger, 2-time ITC winner, played against Tom Guan, the Zombie Menace. And Gavin took that game by 2 points yesterday, knocking Tom Guan down to 2-1. And Tom, starting today, is in 56th. Tom was the winner of the Invitational on Thursday. He has been an absolute menace at tournaments, numerous 5-0s with the zombie list. And unfortunately for him, he met the big gorilla in Gavin Greiger yesterday during round 3 and knocked all the way down to 56th. Very unlikely that we will see him make the top 8 cut. He's going to have to max score both of his games today. Nova Open is running on a point differential system. So even if the game you see on stream does start looking like a loss for one of these players, you're going to see them play on and scrap for every single point. Every point matters. Anything you can deny your opponent is going to be huge. So it looks like Anthony will be forced to take the first turn, electing to roll the primal dice before choosing his battle tactic. Normally, the magical dominance is a pretty easy round 1 battle tactic to cast the spell and not have any unbound because you can deploy out of range of unbinds. Unfortunately, against the menace that is Lord Croak and a Slant Star Master, their unbinds are table wide. But Anthony seems unfazed, and he's just written down Magical Dominance. He thinks that he can still get a spell cast off through Lord Croak. Lord Croak does have a +2 to unbind, so already slight advantage to Dale on this unbind, but Anthony seems to be looking at table thinking that he doesn't really have any better options. So both players rolling out for an extra command point for their heroic actions. No need to go for any extra unbinds. This Flesh Eater Court list only has 5 spell casts, so you have 2 from each of those important archregents that you see at the top left next to the tower. They're the smaller models next to its courtiers. And then the Ghoul King himself on that Terrorgeist with only 1 cast and unbind. Lord Croak himself, I think 4 unbinds table wide, and then the Slant Star Master has 3. So we'll see. Anthony likely just trying to cast 1 spell. If it doesn't get unbound, we'll probably see him stop so we can secure his battle tactic. If it does get unbound, we'll definitely see him roll out some more casting. And I believe if he fails to succeed in casting, he's probably not going to spend any primal dice on it because he's only going to spend the primals if he can get a real high spell cast. Or he's potentially going to save those primals to try to deny some of the spell casting from his opponent if he can get in range. Any predictions in our chat as to who they think is going to take this game? Seraphon or the super meta Flesh Eater Courts? Looks like Andy's going to play very conservative, just creeping up, towing on that objective, putting 5 horrors on there. So 5 horrors, they're 4 wounds each, so they only count as 1 each on an objective, but that's all he's looking to put on because 5 will be tied with the Kron Spine, so he won't lose that objective if the Kron Spine gets onto there. Anthony's subfaction is Hollowmorn. So, Hollowmorn, the battle traits are he can use a command ability in his hero phase, and he can pick one of his Hollowmorn units to get +1 to run and charge rolls until his next hero phase. And in addition, that unit can also run and still charge. So, at any moment, Anthony can just pull the trigger and give one of these Crypt Horror units the ability to run and charge, as well as giving +1 to their run and charges. And they're gonna zippity-doo-dah all the way over, be able to get wherever they want. I just had to peek around the corner to do that romper check, and fortunately you're right, Tyler. We might have a slight disadvantage for Anthony here without the romper, instead choosing to wear the Tough Crowd shorts and a Tough Crowd jersey, but still rocking his backwards hat. I'm sure Ridge would be proud of his hat game today. Additionally, for the battle traits for Hollowmorn, we have you can reroll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Hollowmorn Courtier units and friendly Hollowmorn Knights units that have made a charge in the same turn. Hollowmorn Knights being these Crypt Horror units, as well as any Crypt Flayers. So, very dangerous for them on the charge. Now, being Hollowmorn, he is locked into taking a specific command trait and artifact. His general is that Ghoul King on Terrorgeist up there, who has the command trait to add 1 to the attack characteristic and damage characteristic of his melee weapons, while he's within 3 inches of any enemy heroes with an artifact of power. Don't see that coming into play. The only hero with an artifact on the table right now is the Slan Starmaster, so likely will not see that. If that Terrorgeist does get into the Slan Starmaster, it's probably likely all over for Seraphon. His artifact power is after he makes a charge move, he can pick 1 enemy unit within an inch, roll die on a 2-up. They take D3 mortal wounds, so nice little impact hits there. Could potentially charge into some skinks, kill D3 of them, stomp, kill another D3, and clear a hole to pile in somewhere else. Anthony making his moves, making his way downtown. He's not under any threat from this distance, from any of the Seraphon spells. He's so far, the only thing that could potentially hit him would be the table-wide Comet's Call. However, the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, at the start of his hero phase, heals D3, and those Archregents on foot, they both heal a flat 3 wounds in each of their hero phases. So, any little chip damage that a Comet's Call would do is basically going to have no effect on Anthony's list. Because even with a Seraphon double turn and a max 3 mortal wounds out from a Comet's Call, it's not going to kill an Archregent, because those little Archregents do have 7 wounds each. Anthony pulling out the bucket, already going to summon here. So both those Archregents have command abilities to summon. The Ghoul King on Terrorgeist has ability to summon. You cannot use the same command ability more than once in the same phase. So even though he has 2 Archregents on foot, only one of them is going to be able to summon this turn, but he can use the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist summon in the same turn as that Archregent summon, because they are different command abilities. Looks like he's electing to summon 20 ghouls on, and he's going to bring these in behind him in order to screen out, because little chuckles here from our TO table. We have Tom Guan showing up a bit late, running late, maybe partying a little too hard. But back to our game, we have Anthony summoning in 20 ghouls just to screen out that back table, because Seraphon do have the ability to teleport something, and it looks like he's concerned that if Croak's able to teleport behind him and unload 2 turns of Celestial Deliverance, it could just remove all of Anthony's heroes behind him. So, Anthony screening that out, making sure there's no danger there. Anthony also likes to move up that 10-man ghoul unit on the left-hand side to screen out that as well. So there's nowhere behind Anthony's line that Seraphon's going to be able to drop anything back there. So we are in round 4. Looks like we did have quite a few drops after yesterday. And we do have 79 games going on right now. So only about, I think, 6 drops. I think we had 82 last round. So about 6 drops from yesterday, but still 79 games going on right now, which is 158 players playing right now in Washington, D.C. at Nova Open. 158 players enjoying the finest game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. They'll be battling out for one more round for round 5 before everybody gets put in their pods for another 3 games. Because is 5 games of Age of Sigmar enough for anybody? No. We need 3 more games. That's right. 8 full rounds for everybody. If you're just joining us, this is round 4, Nova Open, Age of Sigmar GT. Both of these players 3-0. Both of these players also participate in the invitational that we had on Thursday. Both highly skilled. They've both won GTs before. I believe Dale won a GT with Gitz this year as well. Anthony, no stranger to winning GTs, terrorizing the state of New York with his incredible play, with his incredible rompers, his backwards hats. So both of them on 3-0. That there's no errors with the screen right now. That's right, we do have a Flesh Eater Court player at 3-0. He's been rocking Flesh Eater Courts the past few months. Anthony loves being the underdog. You'll never see him play an army like OBR at its prime. You'll never see him running 140 zombies. He wants to run whatever people consider kind of be a weaker army. So for a while he was running Slanesh. When it was considered weaker, he's a huge fan of Slaves of Darkness. I know it's his baby. His Slaves of Darkness army, absolutely gorgeous. Ton of conversions, a lot of paintwork on it. It looks like Anthony has elected to use the command ability of the Ghoul King of Terrorgeist, potentially bring in a unit of 3 Flayers. Not sure what he's fully intending to do here. I think he's just trying to present an additional threat. He's now moving the back. I think he was considering putting some damage into the Skinks and forcing his opponent to then have to send the Kronspine into it, but if he did charge into the Skinks, he would be in the danger range of the Seraphon hero phase. And it looks like Anthony is content there. He will score hold 1, hold 2, hold more, as he is on 2 objectives, and his opponent is on 0. And he did not score Magical Dominance, so he will just score 3 points. And we'll be moving in to Seraphon, bottom of 1. Anthony being an absolute champ and writing down his opponent's battle tactic here. And it looks like the battle tactic is to just essentially teleport a unit of Skinks, which you see happening right now. Anthony did leave enough space for those Skinks to teleport on the objective. Not sure if a perfectly calculated maneuver on Anthony's part, or if he just didn't recognize that you could teleport Skinks onto there. But we do have Anthony Trentinelli's Flesh Eater Courts that you see top left of your screen versus Dale Irvin's Seraphon list you see at the bottom right. Essentially a Lord Croak Crownspine list versus a Hollowmorn Flesh Eater Court list with 18 Crypt Horrors and a Dream. Both players on 3-0. So we'll be looking to cover the top of the top as we move into these later rounds. Ton of great Warhammer going on right now. We're getting into the top tables now, where we're really seeing who's still in the running. A ton of great matchups. You've got Scooter Walters, I see, playing the young kid all the way out from the Midwest, Michael Roush, in his OBR. Welcome to the East Coast, baby. He's getting the Scooter love. Both Walter brothers here, both finalists last year, both sitting on 3-0 right now. So I'll see if I can get an update on it. I'm not sure if both of those Crypt Flyer units are on the table or not, but you can only use one of those Archregent summons a turn. But I'm not a TO. I'm trying not to interfere, but I will ask potentially a TO or the players to see what occurred, but I'm trying not to manage the game that way.
Ask for clarifications, and if not, that's how we figure it out. Three separate heroes. 3 heroes, 3 summons.
Yeah, the True Regents is the same command ability.
Sorry?
The summons come from the Archregent War Scroll, which is a specific command ability, and you can't use the same command ability more than once in the same phase.
Just check with him.
So, getting a bit of a check, it looked like we might have a little bit of a rules clarification on those summons. But shouldn't impact the game. I'm sure we'll probably just see a player picked up maybe.
It's in the FAQ because it doesn't that command point being spent or command being issued. Is what Anthony's saying.
Oh, from the terrain piece?
Yeah. So he's
Oh,
not.
I didn't see it on the table.
Yes.
You saw it?
Yes, it sat on the terrain piece.
I can't even see it on stream. Okay. Got some clarification from our TOs. Missed that the terrain piece is up there at the top left. Can hardly see it, but you do see a little bit of stairs. He does have an Archregent sat on the throne. The Flesh Eater Court terrain piece does allow command to be issued without a command point being spent, or it to be technically issued, which does allow both regents to use their summon in the same turn. So, Anthony, always a huge brain on him. Knows it's in the FAQ. Knows what he's doing. There's no errors here. He's at the top of his game. But happy we get that clarification for you guys. If you have any questions, put some in chat. How are you guys doing today? Try to get you some answers if we can. Still have no word yet on when the Big Pig is going to be released. Also, no word yet on any Battle Line Doom Wheels. I don't think a single person has asked for either, but just getting ahead and just going to lay that out there for you. So, we're going to get into a very long hero phase here for Seraphon. There's not a whole lot of Anthony's stuff that's in range from the hit, but you will still see Seraphon casting spells. So, in H. Sigmar, when you cast a spell, you don't select the target before you cast it, you select it after you cast. So, you roll your dice, see if you successfully cast a spell, then you pick a unit. Seraphon wants to cast as many spells as they can, because every time they cast a spell or unbind a spell, they get a summoning point. And he'll be able to start summoning skinks, the little Raptidon Lancers and Hunters. Looks like we have a Soul Scream Bridge popping out. This is what I'm really curious to see. How is he utilizing this bridge? So, let's see. The bridge used to be set up Ployth in 24. It did get changed to 18, but the Astrolith Bearer does extend the range by 6. So in the Seraphon list, it is back to a Holy Within 24. So Dale able to just roll a bunch of dice, gather up summoning points. He's now moving out that Malevolent Maelstrom, the Aether Void Pendulum, the onslaught of endless spells. So not a whole lot of destruction this hero phase. Anthony being very cautious of that. If you can stay out of range of a Seraphon's damage output in a hero phase, you shut down so much output. He's effectively removed entire turn effectiveness off of the Seraphon list. But at the same time, Anthony was forced to deploy back pretty far because Seraphon did have the choice of going first or second. So Seraphon neutralizing the threat of Flesh Eater Court's top of 1. Anthony with his top of 1 movement, kind of removing any threat of his opponent from touching him on this bottom of 1. So this game's going to be a bit of a dance, and both players are just going to be skirting around. Looks like he is just trying to get that Kron Spine. He's sending it all the way up to the top right. Looks like he's really concerned about those flyers up there, which is exactly what Anthony wants to do. He's baiting that Kron Spine all the way up there, which means his Ghoul King on that left-hand side is going to be really safe. So Anthony just wants that Kron Spine to be completely out of the way. It does not appear that the Kron Spine is yet wild. Wild Kron Spine would have to charge his own units. So Dale holding the trigger on that, recognizing that there's no threat from Anthony's list of de-leveling that Kron Spine, because Anthony can't shoot or project any damage from ranged into it. So there's no need to make that Kron Spine wild turn 1 or potentially even turn 2. So we could even see that Rupture held until turn 3 or 4. Additionally, since Anthony used all of his summons on top of 1, you'll see the Seraphon player is going to be able to kind of move this castle a little bit forward and not have to worry about any screens behind. So there's a little bit of a gap forming on the bottom right of your screen where you would normally want to screen out against a Flesh Eater Court player. But since all of the summons have been committed to the table already, there is no need to screen anything out. Anthony, on the other hand, has to screen out his backfield because Seraphon can teleport something every hero phase. And if you're just joining us, we have Anthony Trentinelli, Hollowmorn Flesh Eater Courts versus Dale Irvin's Fangs of Sotek Seraphon. Both these players 3-0 here, and we'll be looking to bring you undefeated players eventually for the rest of the weekend. Absolutely, once we get our top 8 cut later today, in round 6, we'll be looking to just exclusively bring you that top 8 cut here so you can see the best of the best, the cream of the crop, those who have risen to the top. So 3 rounds of coverage today. We're covering round 4, round 5, and the first round of the top 8 cutoff. And then tomorrow will be the final 2 rounds, round 7 and 8. And there's no way we are not streaming a final. We know what you want. you want to see the best of the best. Last year was the Walter Brothers final, where we had Scooter Walters with his piggies, his Iron Jaws, facing off against Caleb Walters and his disciples Azinch. And you know what? Right now, both of those players, both of those lovable brothers, are 3-0 right now, running the same armies. Scooter's back with his pigs. Caleb's back with his big old birds. Both of them on 3-0. They want to say, we want to get to the final. We want to play each other. We want to say, hey, Mom. So will we have a repeat? Or will the terror himself, Gavin Gregor, two-time ITC champ, put a dent into those plans? Stay tuned to find out. So, you have a little bit of shooting coming out of Dale. Skinks can be armed with blowpipes and javelins. Very pesky, not a whole lot of damage. So we're just going to see a few wounds chipped off of these horrors. The horrors, if any die, they'll just be brought back in Anthony's turns. Anthony does have 2 courtiers on the table, as well as a heroic action. So have one of his heroes also act as a courtier. So he could potentially roll up to 18 dice, and every 5-up return a horror. So 5-point turn there for Dale, as he controls 3 of these objectives and achieves his battle tactic. We have roll off for priority happening. Not clear on our screen exactly what those die rolls are, but I'm just going to give it just a moment for our players to decide, and then I'll get an update from the table exactly what happened, who's going first. As there is going to be a huge decision for either player. If you win priority at this level, always going to be a decision of what can I possibly achieve here? What can my opponent achieve? And if you win a priority and you look at the board state, always think to yourself, can my opponent do anything here? And if the answer is no, you probably just want to give away the turn and say, go ahead, do nothing. Whereas if you win priority, you also have to look at that board state and say, realistically, what can I achieve here? And if the answer is little to nothing, why take it? So it looks like we do have Dale Seraphon going top of 2. The Seraphon early double turn, choosing Magical Dominance. So, if Seraphon are able to cast single spell and have 0 unbound, they'll get their battle tactic. And it looks like none of Anthony's heroes are going to be within 30. I think that's what they were measuring before. So Anthony's not going to have a single thing that's in unbind range. But what we will potentially see is Anthony trying to dispel some of these endless spells. If you dispel an endless spell on your opponent's turn, so if Anthony dispels one of these endless spells, since Dale was the one who casted them, he won't be able to resummon the endless spell on his own turn. So if he's able to get rid of this Maelstrom, he's going to get rid of quite a few mortal wounds output, same as this Pendulum, probably wants to get off the table. Or he might potentially leave that Pendulum on the table and make Dale get rid of it, because he can just dodge it. That Pendulum is just stuck going in a straight line, and he can just walk around it. Looks like we do have the Maelstrom being dispelled. Pendulum was dispelled. And I think that's it for this spell. So the Soulscream Bridge still sticking out there. Curious to see what the plan is with that. We haven't really seen it used yet. here come the 9-inch sticks. Ooh, we have the heroic action. Lord Croak himself has elected to teleport out. And here's what Dale was setting up. What he did was he put out that bridge early on. So that way, on turn 2, here's the setup. Using heroic action to teleport Croak, he's going to be looking to Celestial Deliverance, do tons of mortal wounds everywhere, and then use the Soul Screen Bridge to teleport back. So we're about to see a ton of mortal wounds coming out here. Lord Croak has a worshipful spell, Celestial Deliverance. Be able to pick up to 3 units within 12, each one taking D3 mortal wounds, and he can cast that spell as many times as he wants, and Croak has up to 4 spell cast. So you're potentially going to see 4d3 mortal wounds coming out here. The only drawback is he's now put himself in Unbind Rage. So if Anthony's able to unbind any of these, he's going to stop that magical dominance battle tactic. So a little bit of high risk here on Dale, where he's essentially only killing some Crypt Horrors, which Anthony's going to easily be able to bring back. And at the same time, put himself at risk of failing his battle tactic. So we'll see how this shakes out. A bit high risk here in what I would have expected to be a very conservative turn 2. So still very early into this round. We're still less than an hour into round 4 here. Don't think I've seen any of these tables around me wrap up yet. Ton of games going on. 79 games of Age of Sigmar happening right now here at the Nova Open GT here in Washington, D.C. And if you feel like you're missing out, keep an eye. Nova Open every year here, same weekend. Put it on your calendars. Plenty of other events happening throughout the year. We've got a huge range of players here. A lot of familiar faces to the GT scene over here in the U.S., especially on the East Coast. But we did have quite a big crowd come over all the way from California. The Scal Boys. We had Evan Markham on stream yesterday. We've got the Nuge. Even Aaron Newbaum on 3-0 with Cruel Boys right now, playing off against Caleb Walters. We've got folks from Midwest, Michael Roush with his OBR on 3-0. Dale himself, I believe, out of the Midwest at 3-0 with Seraphon. We also have some folks from overseas, Leo Owen Jackson, who was on stream yesterday, as well as Leo Routinen, who used to come from over from the UK, is currently residing over in the US, moved over here about a year ago. He was playing Nagash on stream. Math Mallow here playing Sylvaneth. Did drop a game yesterday, so he's currently sitting on 2-1. We did see him on stream in Invitational. Amazing game versus Caleb Walters. You can watch that back. That was round 2 of the Invitational on this channel. All of our videos, all of our rounds, you can find under the live tab on YouTube. If you can hear that in the background, we have 2 hours left in the round. The man himself, Mike Vaginos, assisting with this event. James O'Brien, head judge here, organizer extraordinaire. Wonderful judge team here. Mike Vaginos helping out. Ted Adams, Jordan. I don't know his full last name. With Weather. Helping out. So we've seen quite a few Crypt Horrors die, but I just don't know if it's enough. Oh, my favorite release from the preview. That's tough. I was so excited to see that new Fulgrim model. I looked absolutely gorgeous, but then I found out that it was a resin model from Forge World, so it can be slightly smaller, not the huge plastic kit that I was expecting, like a Mortarion, like an Angron. So my heart just sank because that model looked gorgeous. And I was super excited to actually see Emperor's Children 40k get some love. You know, this is Age of Sigmar. But recently, I have finally started playing my Ogres. I have a local Path to Glory group at one of my local stores. And I finally put some Ogres to the table. Always wanted to play with some Ogres, and I'm having a blast with them. And I was super delighted to see Gorgers. There are new Gorger models, and I can't wait to feast on that. So, anyone else? What were your favorite releases or previews? I saw Iron Jaws pretty much doubling their range there. Ton of new types of brutes. Obviously, waiting for the big old pig. But all of those models looking absolutely gorgeous. Here we go. Looks like that Kronspine is taking the bait all the way to the top right. I believe this player pack all the way at that top right is just there for bait. Also, potentially setting up for battle tactic on Anthony's turn. What he could do with is the surround, where he's got 3 units holding 60 table edges, and 2 of them outside of his territory, able to achieve that battle tactic. Always super simple one for Flesh Eater Courts to go to pick up. Flesh Eater Courts only have, I think, 3 battle tactics from their book. Most of them are very situational, so Anthony's got a rough time, kind of an uphill battle on securing his battle tactics. Oh, that new Trog hero looks amazing. I love that like terrain piece on his back that looks like a crown. Looks gorgeous. Well, Mike Bajanos, one of our TOs extraordinaire, just walking around, meandering around, making sure everything's going smoothly. But I'm going to get a quick update from the table to see if this Kronspine was made wild or not. Because if this Kronspine is not wild, then I think Dale has just taken the bait. Because that Kronspine is going to be stuck out there for another turn or 2. It's going to have a little bit of time before it gets back and into any kind of relevancy soon. So I'm going to get a quick update, see if that thing is wild, but I'm sure Anthony is extremely happy with seeing that Kronspine just wander off into a corner. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kronspine has been ruptured. So that is a wild Kronspine up there. So we'll likely kill off those flayers. Crypt Flayers themselves, only 4 wounds each. 5 up save, but 6 up ward. Kronspine being wild, it does have +1 to hit. So on average should kill the flayers, but if he rolls anything like I do with the Kronspine, those flayers might just live. So if you're just joining us, this is round 4 coverage. Round 4 of 8 here from the Nova Open. We are covering 12 games this week here. We have got 4 rounds of GT. We had a 4-round invitational on Thursday. And we'll have 12 games in total from the Nova Open. Already 7 games under our belt. You can watch those videos back on this channel. Some absolutely amazing games that have taken place so far here. But currently on the table, both these players sitting at 3-0. Anthony Trentinelli, no stranger to the competitive scene. Currently at 3-0 with his Hollowmore and Flesh Eater court list. Facing off against Dale Irvin. No stranger either to competitive play. Sitting here at 3-0 with a Lord Croak Seraphon list with the Kronspine Incarnate of Grrr. There we have it. 3 crit players picked up. Not a huge loss for Anthony. First unit we've seen picked up. Fully expected it, but does mean that Kronspine is pretty far back there, and it's wild. So there is a chance that the Kronspine might have to charge into those skinks that are also sitting onto the objective up there. Curious to see if he's able to do that. If I was Dale, I might have even elected to put the skinks a little bit closer, like south on the table, and given the Kronspine an easier charge, so that way the Kronspine could eventually zip across there. We'll see. Kronspine is wild, so he's moving 12 inches with run and charge. Can't issue any commands to it, so he'll be moving 12 plus d6 inches on his turn, and then will be forced to charge anything. So, but there is the potential for it to just kind of be stuck in that corner. And if it does move anywhere, it's only going to be able to threaten that top center objective. Here comes all of the Cryptar is coming back. So each of those Courtier units and a heroic action be able to roll 6 dice at a time. Every 5 up, bring back Courtier or a Cryptar. See what Anthony is able to make happen this turn. You see there's basically a line of skinks down the center of the table. There's a unit 10 skinks on the top, unit 10 skinks in the middle, and then in the bottom between those terrain pieces is another unit of skinks. So just skinks everywhere. Anthony's not going to be able to really crash in, take out any of these heroes, but we'll see if he's able to apply any pressure. Probably we'll start seeing the first couples of units of skinks killed, slain, gobbled up, feasted on. And that high-risk play we saw from the Lord Croak teleporting over, he did choose Magical Dominance, which he had to cast a spell and have none unbound. It did put him in unbind range, and Anthony was able to unbind one of Croak's spells, which meant Seraphon failed their battle tactic last turn, but did pick up Hold 1, Hold 2, Hold More. So currently the score, 8 points for Seraphon, 5 for Flesh Eater Courts, with Flesh Eater Courts still taking their bottom of 2. We were tied up here 5-5 after 1, but Anthony potentially able to go ahead and take a lead. Anthony's battle tactic this round is United Court. When he reveals his battle tactic, he picks one objective on the battlefield that his opponent controls, which is 3 of these objectives you see on the table. And at the end of the turn, if he controls it, if it if he controls it with at least one friendly source unit model, which is the ghouls, one knight, and a courtier, he'll achieve his battle tactic. So most likely that objective towards the top of your screen there, he'll be able to run that 20-man unit of ghouls, just tag that. He's already got his knights there with his big brick of cryptars, and he's got 2 courtier units that are able to just tag that objective. So expecting this to be a 5-point turn for Anthony here. He should be able to secure the 3 objectives on the left-hand side. Anthony now using all of his courtiers to start bringing back ghouls. He's rolling 6 dice at a time. Every 5 up does get to return a horror. Interesting to see that he is putting them back behind instead of extending out that unit. When you turn the model, you just have to set it up in coherency and within an inch of a model that was there at the start of that phase. So interesting to see that he is electing to put them behind the unit instead of in front and effectively get some extra reach out of their movement. So, horrors moving up. I'm kind of curious to see if he does elect to just charge in and delete these skinks. The skinks now redeploying, able to roll 2d6, choose the highest. Because he doesn't want to charge these cryptars too far, because there is that Kronspine Incarnate of Gur there, so anything he charges in there on Dale's turn, he could then run that Incarnate 12 inches plus d6, and then charge in and get into these cryptars. Not quite where he's going to want a Kronspine, but that Kronspine will do quite a lot of work into these cryptars if he's able to get into there. Now, you're going to see a ton of movement 6 coming out. Looks like he's also redeploying the other unit skinks at the center of the table. Fangs of Sotek, he is able to redeploy up to 3 skink units. Not sure if I like the play of redeploying those, because there is that other unit of cryptars and that unit of flares down the bottom that will be able to move up, charge that unit of skinks, and just sit on that objective. So, Anthony creeping his 20-man ghoul unit up, still screening out that top of the table, preventing any Seraphon shenanigans from teleporting back there. He's taking a look, seeing the range from the table edge there, making sure that he doesn't leave any big gaps where his opponents can be able to potentially teleport Croak and try to delete his heroes here. But if his opponent does decide to teleport something back there, it will be off on its own. This is bottom of 2, so we will have a roll-off per priority coming up here. And they make sure he's got coherency between all these ghouls, 1 inch coherency. Hey Rich, joining us from Canada. What do we got here? We've got an exciting matchup here. This is round 4 coverage. Both players 3-0. You might recognize this player, Ridge. We've got Anthony Trentinelli, member of Tough Crowd, with his Hollowmorn Flesh Eater Courts, facing off against Dale Irvin's Seraphon list. Not sure if you're familiar with Seraphon, but we've got a Lord Croak, a Slant Star Master, Astrolith Bearer. There is a wild Kronspine all the way up at the top right of your screen that has gobbled up some flares that Anthony summoned in. That might have been a bit of bait to make sure that Kronspine is pretty irrelevant for the next turn. The score after 1 was tied up 5-5. Dale had to take top of 2. Chose Magical Dominance. Normally a very easy battle tactic, as all of his wizards are out of Unbind range. But chose to teleport the Lord Croak up the middle in order to put out some pain on these Crypt Horrors. Unfortunately, that meant he was in Unbind range, and one of his spells was Unbound. So he failed his battle tactic, then used the bridge to teleport back. And on Anthony's turn here, with the power of the courtiers, was able to bring back pretty much all of those horrors that Dale had killed. So, bit of some error there, teleporting Croak out, effectively accomplishing nothing to those horrors, and failing a battle tactic. So, the score currently is 8 points for Seraphon, and there's 5 on the board for Anthony, although he still has to complete his turn, and Anthony's already set up to complete his battle tactic, which is the United Court. You see that on that top middle objective. He's got his Knight unit of Crypt Horrors on the objective. He's got his Surf unit of Crypt Ghouls just kind of meandering, chewing on some bones up there, and then he's got a Courtier unit tagging there, so he's got his Crypt Courtier there, just holding down the line. So he's automatically going to score that battle tactic this turn. He's going to score that 1 point he's on. Anthony also controls that bottom left objective, so he's scoring a minimum of 4 points this turn, which is going to put him up in the lead. And then we're going to see if he makes a play for that bottom center objective. And if he gets that objective, we'll have a 10-8 lead for Flesh Eater Courts after 2. Either way, Flesh Eater Courts will be in the lead after 2 rounds. The only thing that's died on the Flesh Eater Court side has been 1 unit of Crypt Flayers that was summoned in. It died to that Kronspine all the way in the top right. Absolutely baited up there. So that way the Kronspine is not going to really be impactful or effective this next turn. Anthony being extremely careful and cautious, making sure to avoid that Seraphon hero phase where it's just going to get nuked from orbit. And that's right, the 9 block of horrors don't really care about the mortals, so if you're able to put any chip damage into them, it's not going to be very effective, especially if you know the Flesh Eater Court player is going next, because he's got so many ways to return those horrors. So only really want to put damage into them if you know you can really remove the whole unit, potentially. Just killing a few off definitely is not going to do anything, especially if the Flesh Eater Court player is coming up for their turn. So, see Anthony measuring out the threat range from Croak, seeing where that 18 inches off of him is. Celestial Deliverance is a range of 12, and then the Astrolith Bearer extending that range by 6 inches. So Anthony being very careful, seeing where that range is. He's moving his flayers up. There's a unit of skinks there that had redeployed up. Doesn't look like any of them are towing the objective, so it looks like Anthony might just be trying to tag it with 1 flare to take the objective, make sure he's out of redeploy range, and he might just be content with just taking an objective, not charging the flayers. Might end up charging those Crypt Horrors onto those skinks, still staying outside of 18, but we'll see. That Kronspine, he's all the way up there. He's probably looking for the next edition right now. What Anthony did on his turn 1 was he used all of his once per battle summons, and he brought in a unit of flayers at the bottom left, a unit of flayers all the way in that top right corner, and then he also brought in 20 Crypt Ghouls along the top left of your screen to screen out his backfield to prevent any teleports from Seraphon. And that unit of flayers all the way at the top right were summoned in for two purposes. One is because of the weird, like, zigzag of territories on this mission. He's basically was setting himself up for the surround battle tactic, where you have 3 units wholly within 6 of table edges. So he set himself up to potentially score that, but also to potentially bait that Kronspine up there. Because, as you're probably wondering, why is a Kronspine all the way up there? Definitely feels out of place. It's going to have absolutely no impact to most of this table next turn. And Dale's going to really need a huge charge and a huge run roll next turn for him to get anywhere relevant. So potentially a big misplay. The Kronspine is wild up there. So he could potentially run it and then charge into either that Soul Screen Bridge or even that Skink unit to potentially try to slingshot it to the other side of the table. But Anthony probably very happy about that. He is electing to charge these Skinks. I'm very curious about this play. I think he's now thinking it through. He's pausing, is electing to go forward with it. So the problem is, if he kills off these Skinks here, he is getting himself closer to that Kronspine. Kronspine does have fly. It moves, I think, 12 inches with another d6 to its run, and it can run and charge because it's wild. So the closer he gets to the Kronspine, the more dangerous, because that Kronspine will be able to get back in. Now he's measuring. He wants to stay within 9 inches of his Courtier units. You see there at the top of that Wildwoods, towards the left, there is that Vargolf Courtier, and then he does have the Cryptar Courtier towing that objective along with one of the Arch Regents. So he wants to make sure he's within, actually I think it's 10 inches of them. Because at the start of Anthony's hero phase, able to roll 6 dice for each of those Courtiers, and then return a Cryptar for every 5 up. Also a heroic action that he can do only on his turns from any of his heroes, which allows him to act as a Courtier and do the same thing. So he's potentially able to roll 18 dice, and for every 5 up, return a hard. And Anthony also deciding here to charge his other brick into the Skink unit to remove them. Seraphon essentially able to just rack up summoning points every time they successfully cast a spell or mine a spell, and just keep flooding the board with new Skink units left and right. So Anthony does need to play a little bit of whack-a-mole and management here, removing Skinks as they pop up. Make sure that the board does not get overwhelmed with bodies, because Anthony has committed all of his summoning, everything he has, to the table right now. So what you see on the table of Flesh Eater Chords is what he has to work with. Seraphon, on the other hand, able to keep summoning more bodies. They can summon Skinks, you can summon the new Salamanders, you can summon Raptidon Lancers, I think they're called. You can summon pretty much anything in that book. So, currently, bottom of 2, Anthony Trentinelli's Flesh Eater Courts, Dale Irvin's Seraphon, both players 3-0. Score currently 8-5. Anthony still to score. We'll likely see a 5-point turn here, which means at the end of this turn, it will likely be 10-8 in the favor of Flesh Eater Courts. That's right. That's not an error. Flesh Eater Courts 3-0 and potentially up on points after this turn. And if you're just joining us for the first time, this is round 4 coverage. 4 more rounds of Age of Sigmar to stream this weekend. 2 more today, and then 2 more tomorrow. This is an 8-round GT. We also had a 4-round invitation on Thursday. You catch those games back on this channel. Some amazing games have taken place on this stream. Some wild stuff. We've seen miscast. We've seen wizards blow up from casting blizzards. We've even seen somebody win a priority with a 1. Anything can happen here at Nova Open. Anthony was able to score 5 on his first turn because he was able to score Magical Dominance, got 1 spell cast off. I think he popped some primals on it, scored 5, held 2 of the objectives. His opponent did not deploy on that bottom objective, so he was able to hold 1, hold 2, hold more off of that. But I can confirm that at the end of this turn, make sure that it's not any error on the score sheet. But it does look like a 5-point turn on that score sheet. No worries here either. If anybody has any questions, don't hesitate, and I'll try to get any clarifications for you if you need it. Oh, here we go. The Gul'kan Turga is also electing to charge in there. He's going to be outside of 18 right now, so outside of that Lord Croak threat range. And to position himself that if he wins priority here too, he could go crashing into that Seraphon castle. Starting to get a bit aggressive, a bit spicy, but also playing a bit reserved here, knowing that if Seraphon wins priority, it might need to go first and take top of 3 to try to reposition, reform the lines, but also won't be able to put out a whole lot of damage as he's staying outside of that 18, and you don't want to risk teleporting Croak. If you teleport Croak too close, you might not have an escape plan. You might find yourself on the wrong end of a bone club and some hungry ghouls.
Do you want water or are you good? Do you need a refill? Okay. I didn't see it on the table.
Legendary Andrew Simmons double checking, making sure his caster is accommodated with water. Always stay hydrated, everybody. So, quite a bit of combat here. Not the most thrilling, exciting combat. Skinks getting whack-a-moled by huge, hulking ghouls. Skinks not quite known for their combat prowess. Anthony doing the double checks on all of his courtiers. You'll be seeing this a lot. He'll be pulling out tape measure, making sure he's maintaining that 10 inches there, because he wants to make sure that no matter where he is, he's able to then bring back horrors. And they taking a look, checking the count. About to see a couple more dice rolled, and a bunch of skinks just picked up. So we are about an hour and a half into this round. Round is halfway over. We're about to finish up round 2 here in this game. Still 3 more battle rounds to play out in this game. Typically your first 2 battle rounds are the longest, and then as things start dying off, your rounds start picking up. This has been a game of dancing around, so there's still quite a bit left on the table. All we've seen killed so far has been that unit of 3 flayers that were summoned on, as well as the skink units that are getting picked up this turn. So still all of the tools and resources available for these players here. So still quite a bit left in this game. So huge priority roll coming up here for round 3. I think both players realize it. Players scoring up. Just going to confirm that we have a 10-8, and I'll see who wins priority. can confirm the score is 10-8 Flesh Eater Quartz. Dale rolled first for priority, rolled a 1. His heart sank a little bit. Anthony, being the great sport that he is, rolled a 1 for his opponent. And with a die roll of a 1, Dale has won the roll-off and has looked at the board and said, yep, I'm going to have to take it. The Grand Illusion has arrived at his door, and he feels that he is in a position right now that he's going to have to take the turn. So we're going to see some measurements here. A lot of 9-inch sticks coming off to see where he can possibly teleport Croak, see where he can maximize that Celestial Deliverance. The only concern here for him is that he's got to get something done here, because we saw it happen last turn where he teleported Croak, did not get enough damage off on these Crypt Horrors, and the little damage he did, those Horrors just came back. Because there's all those heroes there bringing back more Crypt Horrors. So, bit of a concern as to, is he actually able to make something happen? That Ghoul King on Terrorgeist up there in his face too. Anthony has been very careful to make sure that he is outside of 18 of Lord Croak right now. So that way, in Lord Croak's current position, he can't Celestial Deliverance anything. But there's still the tools of Comet's Call. He still has the Realm Shaper engine to potentially do some mortal wounds to anything within 3 of a terrain piece. And he still has the spells Malevolent Maelstrom and the Aetheroid Pendulum that he can sling out there to try to get some mortal wounds out. But currently shut down from being able to Celestial Deliverance. So we'll see what happens. If he teleports too far from the Astrolith Bearer, it's only a range of 12 inches for the Deliverance. Blizzard could muck up the dragon too, but Dale Irvin, being the wild man he is, did not bring the Blizzard. Dale has elected to put his list into a 2-drop, so he's got 30 heroes, a bunch of skink units, Cyrus Guard, a Kron Spine. So he's only brought 4 heroes in Croak, a Slant Star Master, an Astrolith Bearer, and a Star Priest. And he fit 3 of them into that battle regiment, and then that lone Slant Star Master outside, so he's down to a 2-drop. So he didn't elect to bring a command entourage for any spell enhancement to take any extra spells. So the Slant Star Master has Comet's Call as a spell, and that Skink Star Priest has a Rupture to make that Kron Spine wild, which we did see. It is a wild Kron Spine all the way at the top right. So no Blizzard available. So, Dale looking to teleport Croak out. See tons of 9-inch measuring sticks. We knew this was going to be a very technical, high-skill game with tons of measuring. Dale positioning Croak so that way he still gets the extra range from his Astrolith Bearer back there. He'll likely be able to then run that Skink unit up, form a screen with them. He's also got the 5-man Cyrus Guard. They're a little bit to the left of that Realm Shaper engine. Cyrus Guard, if they're close enough to Croak, and then bodyguard wounds off of him to keep Croak alive. Croak himself, dead for innumerable ages. Very pesky one to kill. He's a wounds characteristic of 20. I could be wrong. It could be 18. But at the end of every phase, you roll a number of dice. You roll 3 dice, and if you add the wounds he's taken and you exceed 20 or more, Croak's immediately slain. But if you roll below 20, he just heals all of his wounds. So there's always a chance that you do 2 wounds to Croak, and he triple sixes, dies. But there's also the chance that you do like 15 wounds to him, he rolls triple ones and says, nah, I'm good, full heal. Apparently, one of our other Seraphon players, we've got Chizola from New York, he's also playing a Kronspine list at 3-0 right now on another table. And in some of Chai's earlier games, I've heard from his opponents that Chai is a master of rolling triple ones. He beat Math Mallow. Math Mallow with his Lariel and Colonel Thunder Great Bow list was putting, I think he said, over 50 wounds into Croak that game. And Chai kept rolling triple ones and tons of 1s and 2s and just would not die. This Croak was just sitting there all game going, I hear no bell. So, Croak's teleported. He's looking to use Celestial Deliverance, put a ton of AoE mortal wounds out. It's going to hit the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. It's going to hit both these Crypt Horror units. So he's got that. He's got Comet's Call for more mortal wounds. He's starting to chip away at that the Vargulf Courtier, possibly. The Courtier units don't heal. The Ghoul King on Terrorgeist does heal D3 at the start of Anthony's hero phase. The Archregents heal flat 3 at the start of the hero phase. And they do have 7 wounds, so they are going to be pretty durable against any chip damage. The Seraphon battle tactic is one where he has to kill a unit with a spell. So, a little bit of a high risk against this Flesh Eater Court list. Anthony does have 6-up ward saves with his entire army. Those Crypt Horror units have so many wounds in there, probably not going to be able to kill them. I think his only chance is if he's able to get enough damage into that Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, potentially with a Maelstrom, with an Aether Void Pendulum for D6 mortals, he could potentially kill that. Otherwise, if he's able to sling out the Maelstrom and get it all the way up there into that Vargulf Courtier, maybe get a Pendulum all the way through there. But I'm not quite sure what he's actually going to be able to kill with a spell here. We'll see. You're going to see a lot of dice being thrown, a lot of mortal wounds being put out. But is it going to be effective enough? We'll find out. Looks like the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist already taken quite a bit of a beating here. Not sure about the Nullstone list right now. We're currently on round 4, so we do have quite a bit of 3-0 players. Most of our games are still going on. We're about an hour, 40 minutes into round 4. And just taking a look at all of our 3-0 players, we only have one game of our 3-0 players that are wrapped up, and that is the Caleb Walters Pig list against Aaron Newbaum's Cruel Boys. Aaron Newbaum, all the way in from the West Coast, starting his round 1, his day 1 of Nova Open GT off with a 3-0 with Cruel Boys. Couldn't handle the pigs. It was actually Caleb Walters. Sorry, Caleb Walters Zinch. So Caleb Walters with a Zinch, his Kronspine list, did get a 17-3 over Aaron Newbaum's Cruel Boys list. So Caleb already moving into the 4-0 bracket. Did have a game on from the Invitational of Caleb featured on our Thursday stream. Welcome to check that out. It was a phenomenal game on stream. So you see that Aether Void Pendulum has been summoned out. It is next to the Croak right now, aimed directly at the Horrors, which is an interesting choice here. Might have been the only thing he had in range, but he doesn't wipe the Horrors. They're just going to come back. Dale's battle tactic, again, is he needs to kill a unit with spells. I think the softest target here to kill with spells would have been that Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. So we currently don't have player audio right now, so don't know the order of which the spells are being cast, but our hero phase has concluded. The pendulum went into the Horrors, and I don't see a single unit killed with the spells. So looks like we will have a failed battle tactic here, as nothing died with spells. So Kronspine running out, looking to make a charge into those Crypt Horrors. It is wild. The Soul Screen Bridge does have a very low casting value, so he could potentially charge into the Soul Screen Bridge, use the Monstrous Rampage to eat the bridge, go to level 3. We'll see if he elects to make that move. But being down on points, it might be that high-risk play he's looking to do, because there is that chance that he fails to eat the bridge. You have to beat the casting value of that spell. It is a 5. He does get to add the level of the Kronspine, which it currently starts at level 2. So be on a +2. He needs to roll a 4 on 2 dice. You think it's easy, but there's always a chance you double ones, or you roll a 1 and 2. And then the Kronspine goes down a level. And if that Kronspine charges in there, fails to eat the spell, goes down a level, the Crypt Horrors could pick it up. Gonna get a quick update, see how many wounds that Ghoul King on Terrorgeist has left.
Say on that one, yeah, but I was like, my guys were like, what in the world are you guys doing?
So, update on the board state. Zale made a choice to kill the Crypt Horrors with his battle tactic to kill that unit. Definitely did not do enough damage, as there's still 5 Horrors left there. The Ghoul King on Terrorgeist took 13 wounds. 13 wounds it took. It's got 1 wound left. We'll see if Dale wants to try to commit these skinks into it to try to kill it. But yep, quite a bit of a misplay, thinking he might be able to kill the Horrors, prioritizing them over that Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. But we're into our charge phase. Clearly Kronspine going into those Horrors at the top. Big question is he going to charge anything into this Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, which is Anthony's general. So generals always being an important piece in AoS. At the start of your hero phase, if your general is on the table, you get a command point. But unsure here if he's going to choose to try to go for the throat, kill his general, because Flesh Eater Courts, does not have a lot of easy book battle tactics. They only have about 3 battle tactics in the book. And if Dale goes in there, commits to killing that Ghoul King on Terrorgeist with those skinks, it does open up an easy battle tactic for reprisal. Oh, you ran the skinks. Looking to screen off from Croak. I think we could potentially see Seraphon in a bit of trouble, as there is that Ghoul King on Terrorgeist there, the Flayers, and that Brick of Horrors, and only a unit of 10 skinks in front of Croak. Croak does have the bodyguards to his Saurus guard behind him, but could be in quite a bit of danger as Anthony is going next. We're still currently on the top of 3. Always potential to get double turned by Flesh Eater Quartz, which is going to be painful if it happens. Let's say Anthony is playing extremely well here. He's a very calculated player. I can't even count how many times I've had to play Anthony in GTs. We've had a bit of back and forth ourselves, and anytime we pair each other, we know we're going to have a close game. He's such an amazing player, a great sport. Dale, just met Dale this weekend. Haven't run into him before, but he's been all smiles here. He's been wonderful to meet, wonderful to hang out with. Both players, absolutely true paragons of the hobby. Dale Seraphon also looks pretty beautiful on the table. It's hard to tell on the top down, but he does have a very well-painted army. And if you're just joining us, we are still in the top of 3. It is Dale Irvin going right now with his Fangs of Sotek Seraphon versus Anthony Trentinelli's Hollowmorn Flesh Eater Quartz. I believe this mission is called Every Step Forward, so it's 4 objectives on the table. If you retreat, you're not eligible to contest objectives. If you charge, you count as 1 additional. We did see the Kronspine charge into these Crypt Horrors at the top of your screen. It is level 2 Kronspine. Did not try to eat the bridge. Anthony's will be able to swing back into the Kronspine, and if he de-levels it, huge here. But we'll have some updates at the end of this turn as to what level the Kronspine is and what's going on there. Did have a bit of an error out of Dale this turn. Did decide to try to kill that 1 unit of Horrors with spells. Unfortunately, could not do enough damage, and also left the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist with 1 wound left. If he would have chose the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, put the Aether Void Pendulum into that, I think he could have achieved his battle tactic. Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to try to eat that bridge because he is already down by 2 points going into this turn, and with failing the battle tactic, he's going to be down even further. I will get an update to see if he tried to eat the bridge. But we'll get an update to see how many wounds the Horrors did, if they're able to de-level the Kronspine. But already looking a bit grim for a Seraphon player. Anthony's in tremendous shape. Here we go, the die roll. And seeing if the Kronspine de-leveled. I'll get the update, see what level it is, and I'll be back to you in a second. But looks like we will have potentially a 2-point turn. They're scoring it up right now. We're going to get it into bottom of 3. Flesh Eater Quartz. Quick update from the table. Dale knew what we knew going into that charge phase, that after failing a battle tactic for 2 turns in a row, that he needs something big to happen. So he attempted to eat the Soul Screen Bridge, and he failed it. So the Kron Spine went down to level 1. He took some wounds from the horrors, but it was not enough to de-level him a second time. So we're going into Anthony Trentinelli, bottom of 3 right now. The score is tied up 10-10. So any points here Anthony scores are just points that he's going to be ahead of his opponent. The Kron Spine is level 1. He might be able to kill it with these horrors that are already engaged with it. He's going to bring back some horrors. He's got 16 dice to roll shortly here. Every 5 up, you're going to start seeing horrors pop up again. There's only that 10-man skink unit between him and Lord Croak. It's looking rough here. It's looking a bit grim. Dale knows it too. But we'll see. Anthony has chosen the surround battle tactic. So he needs to have 3 different units, wholly within 6 of 2 different table edges, 2 of them outside of his territory. He's already pretty set up for that. He's got the 3 flares at the bottom of your screen, likely the 10 ghouls you see at the left of your screen, and then he's got that 20-man unit of ghouls at the top of your screen, which will potentially be the ones to score the battle tactic. Anthony with a heads-up play here, dispelling the Soul Screen Bridge so that way the Kron Spine cannot attempt to eat it. It looks like Anthony's going to go for the throat, try to finish off the Kron Spine, and let's see if he's able to get into Lord Croak. Absolutely going to see a 5-point turn here for Anthony, as he's got a battle tactic where he doesn't even need to engage his enemy. He'll pick up 2 points from that. He's already got control of that top objective and the one all the way in the bottom left for hold 1, hold 2. And we'll, with only 10 skinks on that bottom center objective, Anthony's going to pick that one up as well. So we're definitely going to see a 5-point turn out of here from Anthony. And we should see a 15-10 after 3, but we're still only in the beginning of this turn. Anthony still has to heal D3 on his Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. He still has both courtiers to bring back these Crypt Horrors, and he still has a heroic action. We'll see if he goes to a recovery to heal another D3 on his Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, or if he elects to try to bring back even more horrors. And if you're just joining us or you're bouncing early, we'll be back for round 5 coverage at 1 o'clock Eastern time. I'm pretty sure. I have the schedule posted on Twitter at YesNoSomething. You can find the full schedule for this weekend, all times at Eastern time. We'll have 2 more rounds today. We're going to be covering round 5 here. This is going to be about an hour lunch break between round 4 and 5. So I think we pick up at 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll be covering round 5. After round 5, there'll be another hour break for dinner, and also to put everybody in 8-player pods, depending on how they finished in the after the 5 rounds. And then we're going to exclusively be streaming the top 8 cut after that. So currently, both these players 3-0. We'll be looking to put on next round exclusively 2 4-0 opponents. And essentially, we're just looking at winners on this stream moving forward. Those players who have not had a single loss. Looking at the best of the best this weekend. And that is no error on your screen. After 3 rounds of this event, we have a Flesh Eater Court player at 3-0. And right now with the board state, it's looking like we might have a Flesh Eater Court player at 4-0. The dream is alive. Flesh Eater Court Hollowmorn could potentially make it all the way to the top 8, but we'll still have 1 more game after this to decide. With all of the players, I think there's either going to be either 5 or 6 players that are going to finish 5-0. So we're going to have about 2 or 3 players that are going to squeeze into that top 8 at 4-1. This is a point differential system, so even on a loss, if you keep the points close enough, you could squeak into the top 8. So Dale is not going to concede here. He's going to keep playing on. Any point he could deny Anthony are points that he's going to be able to put onto his score. Any point that he gains is going to move him up in the rankings. We saw it in one of our rounds of coverage yesterday where we did have a player in a losing position, but they played on. They knew that they were scrapping for points. Every single point mattered, and it went down all the way to the bottom of 5. Anthony putting on a bit of a masterclass with Hollowmorn. Here we go. You can see him rolling sets of 6 dice at a time. Every 5-ups returning a horror. Looks like he just grabbed 5 horrors. He rolled 3 5-ups off of those 6 dice. That is an entire 9-man unit back at full strength right there. Rolling again now. Adding models back to his other unit here. So we still have 7 horrors in the second unit, 9 horrors in that unit engaged with the level 1 Kron Spine. The only thing that's stuck in combat right now is that unit of 9 horrors with the Kron Spine. Neither of them allowed to retreat. That Kron Spine and the horrors exactly where Anthony wants them. A full unit of 9. About to beat on that Kron Spine. Is he hoping to remove it this turn? You see the end of the hero phase. The Aether Void pendulum has moved about 0.5 millimeter. Just tune in. Glad to see you join us. We are in round 4 here. We have Anthony Trentinelli playing Hollowmorn Flesh Eater Quartz. You see he started at the top left. We are in bottom of 3 on Flesh Eater Court turn, playing against Dale Irvin, Fangs of Sotek Seraphon, kind of castled up at the bottom right. The score is currently tied up 10-10. Seraphon did fail 2 battle tactics in a row. It's currently Anthony's turn, and he's looking to score a full 5 points, so we're likely going to be 15-10 in favor of Flesh Eater Quartz. We do have a level 1 Wild Kron Spine engaged with 9 Crypt Horrors that have been brought back. The Ghoul King on Terrorgeist there at the center of your screen on life support. Was on 1 wound left to start Anthony's turn. Has healed up a little bit, but we'll likely see him sit back with that a little bit, or he might just full send and try to kill off Croak. So we'll see what Anthony wants to do, whether he wants to try to recover it a little bit more, or if he just wants to go for the throat with it. If the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist dies, I don't think Anthony's going to be upset by it, because that is his general, and it will open up a battle tactic for reprisal, so he'll be able to score that in his next turn. But there is that unit of 3 flyers, the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, and 7 horrors down there, with only a line of 10 skinks between them and Lord Croak. Anthony's list very much centered around 2 units of 9 Crypt Horrors with 2 Courtiers to just keep bringing back dead horrors. So unless you kill that unit outright or deal with the Courtiers, they're just going to keep generating more horrors. Dale Irvin's Seraphon list here, much centered around the Kron Spine. He elected to go for a 2-drop list. Has Lord Croak, a Slant Star Master, an Astrolith Bearer, and a Star Priest with Rupture. So that way he could rupture that Kron Spine, make it wild, have it run around, gobbling up spells. Unfortunately, when he went to eat the Soul Screen Bridge, he failed and went down a level. So Anthony making quite a bit of measurements. Looks like he's trying to screen off where Seraphon could potentially teleport to. He understands that Dale is going to be down by 5 points after this turn. He's going to need some Hail Marys to get back into the game. Anthony looking to deny any potential chance to get them back in. So, curious to see what 3 units he's running. He already ran off the 10 ghouls to the left. It looks like he's using the 3 flayers at the bottom of the screen, and he's choosing to use the Arch Regent at the top to secure his battle tactic. Legendary Gavin Gregor, 2-time ITC winner, finished up his match 4-0, vanquisher Tom Guan Zombies yesterday. Couple of games starting to conclude here. We are about 2 hours into round 4, still a full hour left in this round. We are still finishing up bottom of 3 here in this game. Anthony putting on a masterclass in Flesh Eater Courts. And he got the memo. Death was in the meta right now. Reached into his bag, pulled out some bones, pulled out some ghouls. Everyone got a little confused. Said, "Don't you know it's OBR and Soul Blight in the meta?" And then he just looked and shrugged and went, "I don't know. That's what I pulled out." And he's making it work. He's been running around the tournament scene. He's collected, I think, a couple 4-1s, and I think he even got a 4-win and a draw with Flesh Eater Courts, but he's been on the hunt for that 5-0 with Flesh Eater Courts. And it's looking like after this game, he's going to be on a 4-0 with Flesh Eater Courts.
86 more players, 1 hour remaining in the round, 1 hour remaining in the round.
It was in the background. Legendary Mike Baginos, one of our extraordinary judges here, now saying 1 hour left in rounds, making it official. Anthony rocking the backwards hat. You see him carefully measuring everything. Absolute tremendous player. You're going to see a lot of measurements out throughout the course of this game. If you're just joining us and you watch it back, you're going to see a ton of measurements because we've got a lot of little nuances here of Seraphon being able to heroic action to teleport something 9 inches away. So Anthony's trying to use every little body in his list to screen out where he could teleport, especially teleport Lord Croak, as well as always ensuring that his Crypt Horror units are within 10 inches of his Courtiers. His Courtiers, at the start of Anthony's turn, are able to roll 6 dice each every 5-up return a Crypt Horror. He also has a heroic action that he can do with one of his other heroes to do the same thing. So he's potentially able to roll up to 18 dice in every 5-up return a Crypt Horror model. So he's looking to maintain that 10 inches, and you'll see that's why he's got his Crypt Horror units pretty close together, as well as those Courtier units. There's a Vargulf Courtier in the woods there, and then on that top center objective, towards the left of the objective in there, is his Horror Courtier. Starting to get a little bit of shooting out. He's got the Crypt Flayers at the bottom of the screen, who have moved down to be holding 6 of that table edge for his battle tactic, to have the 3 units holier than 6 table edges. He's got shooting from there. The Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, that Terrorgeist able to shriek with its death shriek. Ah! Trying to pick up a couple of these skinks. Already looking at a 5-point turn for Anthony. It'll be 15-10 after this turn. The big question, though, does the Kronspine survive combat with 9 Crypt Horrors? The Crypt Horrors did not charge, so they're not getting those bonuses to reroll rolls of 1 in combat, but Crypt Horrors do quite a bit of work in combat. I believe they just had the War Scroll updated. They used to not have any rend on them, And their old war scroll was that if they rolled like a 6 to wound, they would go to damage 3 instead of damage 2. I'm going to pull up the new war scroll because it has changed. And Anthony, probably the only person in the world rocking Flesh Eater Quartz at this level. So getting an update on there. Their current war scroll in the app, it might have changed, but the current one in the app, they do have a reach of 2, so all 9 will be able to reach and clobber this. 4 attacks each, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, no rend but 2 damage each. Kronspine only has a 4-up save, so that no rend, not quite a factor on this. But he does get to improve the rend while it's wholly within 9 of any core days or 18 of abhorrence. So he does have that abhorrent arch region up there. So these will be on rend 1. So Kronspine will then be on a 5-up save against this. And we'll see if Dale has heads up play to roar them. If he roars them, they won't be able to Feeding Frenzy. The big power of Flesh Eater Quartz is in the combat phase. After one of their units has attacked, they can spend a command point to immediately pile in and fight again. So if Dale fails the roar, and Anthony doesn't think he's done enough damage to the Kronspine, he could Feeding Frenzy those 9 horrors and immediately fight again. And now we see that 7-man unit horrors and the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist charging in on what remains of those skinks. Ghoul King on Terrorgeist does have that artifact that after he charges on a 2-up does impact hits. And there's the roar. Dale rolled a 4, has roared that unit a 9. So Anthony's again checking his distances, making sure he's got his extra rend, making sure he's within 10 to bring horrors back. So they just have to be wholly within 18 of that abhorrent arch region at the top of that objective in the top center. And they are, so he's going to have 36 attacks here on 4s and 3s. Going to be rend 1, 2 damage each. Additionally, the unmodified wound roll for an attack is a 6. It's got damage characteristic of 3 instead of 2. So you're going to see him roll 2 sets of saves potentially. So any wound roll of a 6, he's going to have to roll separate, as those will be damage 3 instead of damage 2. So he should have about 18 hits here and convert about 12 into wounds. And we should, on average, have about 10 saves at rend 1, 2 damage, and 2 saves at rend 1, 3 damage. Which will be enough, because that should, on average, do about 13 wounds to the Kronspine here. And Kronspine could potentially go down a level. So, absolutely massive combat coming up here. Anthony did play a bit reserved, though. There was a little bit of an opening to potentially get into Croak, but Anthony has kind of elected not to charge into there or move around to try to maneuver to get into Croak with his Horrors or his Ghoul King at the bottom of your screen. They were not in combat. They did have some movement to get around. But Anthony, very smart, calculated player, so definitely not a mistake on his part. He knows what he's doing. So, Horrors have swung. Doesn't even look like he's even allocated any damage. I think he's done at least 18, and he knows he's going to have that Kronspine disappear. But currently piling in with those skinks, knowing he's not going to do any damage. They're not even rolling it out. Just doing the pile-ins. Anthony piling in that 7-man unit of Horrors. Dale just picking up the skinks. He knows that he cannot survive with just 2 skinks against such reckless hate. If you're just joining us now, it's Anthony Trentinelli's bottom of 3 right now. Flesh Eater Quartz versus Dale Irvin. Seraphon, Fangs of Sotek. Almost done his turn 3. We'll have a 15-10 lead for Flesh Eater Quartz. Both players on 3-0 today. quite a few games wrapping up in this hall. We'll have 2 more rounds of coverage here after this. Some updates from around the hall. Still a lot of games left to go. But in our top brackets, we have had Caleb Walters defeat Aaron Newbaum. So we do have Zinch on 4-0. Gavin Greiger defeating Carl the Bar Long. So Gavin on 4-0 with his OBR. Leo Routinen, we had him on stream yesterday. Legion of Night Nagash. You see the Kron spine lifted. There it is. It's gone. Leo Routinen on 4-0 now with a Legion of Night Nagash list. He was the only player to make it to 3-0 with Soulblight here. So still the only undefeated Soulblight player here. Jawan Noah Singh has won the belt match, the Tough Crowd belt. He has beat Barton Kennelly. Jawan Noah Singh now the holder of the International Champion of AoS Multiverse belt with his Beast of Chaos. We have Beast of Chaos confirmed 4-0. And we are now going into turn 4. 15-10 lead for Anthony Trentinelli's Flesh Eater Courts against this Seraphon Croak Menace that Dale has brought. Not looking good for Seraphon. Getting into round 4. Going to have priority soon. Both players, a lot to think about. But Anthony definitely in the driver's seat on this one right now. But it ain't over yet. I am back from the table. Seraphon will not go out lightly. Won the priority. Last turn, he did fail Battle Tactic. He chose Magical Supremacy last turn. So we needed to kill something with spells. Failed it. But luckily, reached in his back pocket. Seraphon book is pretty much the exact same Battle Tactic. So he's got to kill something with a spell. Anthony's Ghoul King on Terrorgeist there. On Death's Door, it was left last turn with 1 wound left. So Dale should be able to just pick it up this turn. Using the heroic action now, Teleport Croak. So just joined us. We are on top of 4 right now. Score 15-10 in favor of Anthony Trentinelli's Flesh Eater Courts against Dale Irvin's Seraphon. Seraphon turn right now. Starting off the heroic action, the Teleport Croak. Making sure he's within range of his Ashless Bearer, so he's getting +1 to casting, extending the range of his spells by 6 inches. He's got his target set, locked and loaded. He's looking to not only wound that Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, finish it off, but also making sure he is in range to get to those flayers. Anthony using one of his unbindings to get rid of the Aether Void Pendulum. He's got that Arch Regent all the way at the top of your screen. Who's definitely going to be out of unbind range of anything at 30 inches, but he's close enough to dispel the Aether Void Pendulum, prevent it from doing another D6 mortal wounds to his Crypt Horrors. So, recognizing that, getting rid of that Aether Void Pendulum. It cannot be cast again because it was just dispelled this turn, so you cannot cast an endless spell the same turn it was dispelled. But he does have the Malevolent Maelstrom available in his pocket, which does do a flat 3 mortal wounds if it explodes to a wizard. The Ghoul King on Terrorgeist there that he's trying to kill is a wizard, so if he does get the Maelstrom off, if it does go out there and detonate, it will do a flat 3 mortal wounds to it, and boom, blow it up. Ton of games still wrapping up here. We have 79 games going on right here in round 4. We'll have 2 more games of coverage today. Round 5 will be on at 1 o'clock Eastern, so just under 2 hours from now, we'll be streaming round 5. And then later on, to be a long day for us, we'll have round 6 also today. So, if you haven't had enough Age of Sigmar coverage, if the 7 games we've already streamed here has not been enough, we got more coming for you. We did stream 4 games on Thursday already, the Invitational. And then our GT started yesterday, so we've already streamed 3 yesterday, and this is round 4 of the Invitational. This is actually game 8. What is my pick to win right now? The game or the tournament itself? Clearly right now, Anthony Trentinelli in the driver's seat of this one, 15-10. Game's not over, but he's dominating the table right now. He's only lost 1 unit of flares that he summoned in, but likely will lose his general that Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. The event, the whole thing. So the original picks to win were likely going to be Tom Guan or Gavin, but they did play each other last round. And Gavin took out Tom last round by 2 points. So Gavin Geiger, 2-time ITC winner, currently on 4-0. Gavin did lose last year to Caleb Walters in, I think, one of the semifinals. Caleb went on to win the whole thing last year. Gavin back this year, though, with Null Myriad OBR, which plays very well into Tzeentch. So if that rematch happens, Gavin does have a slight edge there, as Null Myriad very good against spellcasting. So I think Gavin's back with an exceptionally strong army that's going to be able to defeat anything else here in the undefeated bracket. And Gavin has been on top of his game as always. So that's my pick. Those Walter Bros, they are a menace though. Both of them currently undefeated. Caleb did win his game 4. So Caleb Walters, winner of Nova Open last year, is currently on 4-0 with Tzeentch. His brother Scooter Walters, currently on 3-0, playing against the Midwest Terror, that is Michael Roush and his OBR. That game is still going on. I can see them to my left. If I see them start walking around, I'll get a point update there. That game still going on. Generally, Iron Jaws games can be pretty quick, but that game's still going on, which means Scooter's very much in that game still. Scooter also loves to play it out. I'm not quite sure what happened to Gitz myself. They did have quite a few point increases across the board. Not sure if they really play that well into the current GHB with the current battle tactics of it. But I think a lot of the things that have popped up in the current meta are also very good against Gitz. So like OBR, very effective against Gitz in the combat game. Soulblight, very good against Gitz. It's not just a question of does your army play the current missions well, but does it play well in the current meta? And here we are. The Ghoul King on Terrorgeist has died. He has been removed. We have a successful battle tactic here. So Bale does have a unit of skinks hidden up there amongst those ruins in the top right. So he will be able to run onto that top right objective. He will be able to secure this bottom middle objective, but I don't think we'll see him take much else. So he'll achieve his battle tactic, likely only pick up hold 1, hold 2. Anthony still has that top middle objective, and while he doesn't have anything on that bottom left objective, he still controls it. So we'll see if he's able to take control of that at all, or if he just is happy to settle for the 4 points, knowing he's already 5 points behind. So Noah has stopped by, rocking his new hardware. The belt has returned to him. Interdimensional champion of the AoS multiverse. The Tough Crowd belt. Been quite a few belt matches amongst the Tough Crowd this weekend. Noah able to take the belt off of Barton Kennelly, who's held it since NashCon. And Noah on 4-0. He might just hold the belt the rest of the event, as there are not much Tough Crowd left in that 4-0 bracket. So Malevolent Maelstrom has come out, and it is about to go boom. So everything within 12 inches is about to take D3 mortal wounds, or if it's a wizard, it's going to take a flat 3 mortal wounds. So everything in Anthony's list does have a 6-up ward save, so you'll be seeing him roll a whole bunch of dice. A lot of pointing with fingers. Does do a flat 3 mortal wounds to wizards, so there's that Archregent right there. Taking some wounds, but the Archregent does heal a flat 3 wounds at the start of Anthony's hero phase, so it's just going to get removed anyway. Only doing a single wound arrow to that Courtier in the woods. I think Dale really needs to prioritize getting those Courtiers off the table earlier. If he could have removed those Courtiers, he could have stopped the recursion of these horrors. And instead, he finds himself in a horrible situation. If only we had a dead Cryptara count. But he has killed at least 10 Cryptars. And they just keep coming back. So 4 left in that unit in the center. 6 left in the unit top. But we do have 2 Courtiers and that Regent up at the top. So he is able to roll up to 18 dice and return Slain Horrors on 5 ups. So what happened with the Incarnate this game was Anthony summoned in a unit of 3 Crypt Flayers in the top right corner, setting himself up for that surround battle tactic, and also to potentially bait the Kronspine all the way up there to make him irrelevant for the rest of the board. And his opponent Dale took the bait, made his Kronspine wild with the Rupture spell, sent him all the way in to the top right corner, killed the 3 Flayers that were summoned, and since it was wild on his turn 2, then sent it, actually on turn 3, sent it towards the center to go kill off some horrors. Knowing he was behind, needed to make a play, tried to eat his own bridge, failed, went down to level 1. Luckily for him, the horrors did not do enough damage to de-level him again that turn, but it was Anthony's turn, and horrors did bop him on the head, and the Kronspine has been removed. So, series of unfortunate events, but Anthony, kind of with the huge bait of a nice tasty meal of 3 Crypt Flayers summoned all the way in that top right corner, Dale did take that bait and sent his Kronspine all the way up there to take them out. So, 4-point turn for Seraphon. Securing their battle tactic with that Seraphon specific one of killing units with spells, was able to pick up that Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. Does control that right objective still, as Anthony does not have anything on it, and does control that bottom middle objective with some Saurus Guard. So we're going into bottom of 4, Flesh Eater Courts, Anthony Trentinelli. Current score 15-14 in favor of Flesh Eater Courts. Back ahead by 1, but Anthony Trentinelli about to start taking his turn here, so he's going to start putting up more points. And he's chosen Intimidate the Invaders. So his objective here is to have more units wholly outside of his territory than in it. Already very achievable battle tactic. The territories are a bit of a zigzag, so if you follow the objectives from the bottom left over to the center one, straight up the middle to the top, and then over to your right, that's where the territories are divided directly in half. There is no neutral territories in this mission. So Anthony looking to push out. He's already got 10 ghouls at the bottom, that one flare left at the bottom. His crypt horrors right on the, both his crypt horror units on the edge of that line, so that's already 4 units there. He does have 20 ghouls and 3 more heroes on the table that could run out of there. So definitely very easy battle tactic for him to achieve. He'll definitely be able to pick up hold more this turn, so we will see a 5-point turn for Anthony here, which will put Anthony ahead by 6 points after this turn. So game not quite over yet because there's still one more turn left. It could come down to a turn 5 priority as well as the grand strats. So let's take a look, see what those grand strats are. Anthony's got Overshadow for his grand strat. I believe that is the one where he needs to kill all the battle line units, which is very hard to do against Seraphon, who are constantly able to teleport skinks around and also summon new ones. Just checking the wording on Overshadow. So Anthony's Trentinelli's grand strat is when the battle ends, you complete this grand strat if all enemy battle line units from your opponent's starting army are destroyed, and there's at least one friendly battle line unit from his starting army on the battlefield. So Anthony still has all 3 of his starting battle line units on the field. Those were the 2 units of 9 horrors and the unit of 10 ghouls. The 10 ghouls are in the bottom left of your screen, but he needs to kill all of the starting units from his opponent's army, which are that unit of 5 Saris Guard on the objective in the bottom middle, that's next to the Realm Shaper engine, and I believe that unit all the way in the top right corner of Skinks. You can barely see him on the top right corner of your screen. I believe that is a starting unit from his opponent's army. So he needs to take care of those 2 in order to secure his grand strat. On the other side, his opponent, their grand strat for Dale Irvin is likely Spellcasting Savant, which is to keep his Slan Starmaster alive. Slan is currently sitting right underneath where that Realm Shaper engine is at the bottom of your screen. So very, very hard to be able to deny the grand strat of Seraphon. All he has to do is keep the Slan Starmaster alive, which he's able to do with teleports, which is why Anthony's been trying to close this board up, as there is nowhere for the Slan to teleport. And you see Anthony is measuring out. He does have his eyes set on those skinks in the corner. If he can get those horrors into those skinks, pick them up, and then kill the 3 or the 5 Saris Guard next to that Realm Shaper engine, that's effectively 3 more points for Anthony. He knows he's going to have a very hard time, almost impossible time, in killing that Slan Starmaster. It's just going to be able to run into that corner, and Anthony might not have the speed to get to it. So Anthony's just looking to pick up his grand strat. So while Dale is going to be down on points, it'll be 20-14 after this round. Dale knows he's got his grand strat in the pocket for 3 more points. And if he's able to deny Anthony's grand strat, that could deny Anthony some extra points, and effectively only a 3-point difference, which means it could come down to a priority roll. But I think Anthony just has such a dominant state on this table right now. All of the objectives are going to be Anthony's after this round. So I think even if Seraphon wins the priority, he's got no way to deny Anthony from scoring points. Hollowmorn does have a command ability where they're able to make one of these horror units run and charge, and also gain +1 to the run and charges. That's why you see them moving so fast right now. So that horror unit's still able to charge after this and get +1 of their charge roll. Team America captain Sean Clark is here, taking a peek, seeing the board state. Loitering around as usual. He's pulling a Tom Guan and just loitering the hall, as Tom usually loiters around with his zombies on objectives. Most of our rounds, most of our games in this round are coming to a conclusion. There's about 30 minutes left in this round. Flesh Eater Court's going to be up 20-14 with 1 turn remaining. Some quick updates around the hall. Dean Bills has won his game in an OBR mirror over Mark Mile. So Chai Zola also winning his Seraphon matchup against Richard's Stormcast Eternal game. That looked like a tight one. It's 13-7 differential in that game. Still have Jacob Brandon playing Mike Bartlett on table 1. Still have the Nuge still playing Rick Ferreira. Still have Owen Jackson, the Owen Jackson playing Chris Schelling in Ibiza Chaos, Sons of Bahamut matchup. Scooter's still playing Michael Roush. But our current 4-0s are Dean Bills, OBR, Chai Zola, Seraphon, Caleb Walters, Zinch, Gavin Gregor, OBR. Oh, Chris Schelling has taken the win. We have Sons of Bahamut on 4-0. That's right. Sons of Bahamut, 4-0. Leo Rautanen, who you saw on stream yesterday, taking the W for Nagash. The only Soulblight player undefeated here after 3 rounds was a Nagash list, and he's now on 4-0. Juan Noah Singh on 4-0 with Beast of Chaos. Those are your confirmed 4-0s, and it's looking like we might have a 4-0 Flesh Eater Courts after this. Absolutely exciting. Sons of Bahamut, 4-0. And potentially Flesh Eater Courts in there as well. We're going to have quite a healthy mix of list going in to round 5. See Anthony going to close the gap. Going for the throat, putting this game away. He's already achieved this battle tactic. He's in control of all 4 objectives on the table with 1 turn left. If you're just joining us, this is bottom of 4. Flesh Eater Courts versus Seraphon. Flesh Eater Courts will be in the driver's seat 20-14 after 4 rounds with still 1 turn left in the bag. Anthony trying to secure his grand shot by killing the Saris guard next to that Realm Shaper down there, and then the 10 skinks all the way at the top right of your screen. The Seraphon Grand Strat pretty much in the bag, as he just has to keep that Slan Starmaster alive, which is under the Realm Shaper engine. Although if Anthony is able to win priority, he might be able to get that big brick of Cryptars into the Slan and kill it too. So another huge priority coming up. Although Dale has been winning priorities left and right this game. He even won a priority roll with a 1. Anthony creeping his ghouls up, shambling them forward. He's just screening out all of the available spots where Seraphon can teleport to. Seraphon do have that heroic action where they can teleport a unit 9 inches away. And Anthony's just trying to screen all of that out, knowing that his opponent has very, very limited windows where he's going to be able to score next turn. Just ensuring that his opponent won't be able to pick up a 5-point turn. So here it is, the first of the Cryptara charges. That is that Crypt Horror unit all the way in the top right. Looking at camera. See if I can adjust it just a little bit so we can see that action a little bit better. I'll be back in just 1 moment. Has made both of the charges he really needed to make here. Looking to pick up those 10 skinks in the top right. Most people would be confused if they were tuning in and seeing 10 skinks all the way in the corner table with 9 Crypt Horrors chasing them down. But it's purely to secure Anthony's grand strat, which is Overshadow. He needs to kill all of his opponent's starting battle line units and have one of his own still alive. The only 2 remaining battle line units from Dale's starting army being that skink unit all the way in that top right corner and the SARS guard unit that you see at the bottom center of your screen between the Realm Shaper engine and that terrain piece. Anthony has made charges with both his big bricks of Crypt Horrors into both of those units. If he can kill both of them, he should pick up his grand strat, as he just needs to keep one of his battle line units alive. And with a healthy brick of 9 Crypt Horrors in that top right corner, and only 1 turn left for Seraphon, there's no way that unit dies. There is that chance, however, that if Anthony wins priority, he might be able to get into that Slan Star Master and deny Dale's grand strat, keeping that Slan alive. So, going to be a huge priority roll coming up. Anthony's in full clobber and tie mode. Putting attacks into the SARS guard. So this is bottom of 4. Anthony Trentinelli, Hollowmort Flesh Eater Quartz, Dale Irvin, Fangs Sotek Seraphon. Both players sitting on 3-0. Anthony will be ahead 20-14 after his turn, with 1 turn remaining. There we have it. The SARS guard have been lifted. We will see the skinks activating in the top right. We might not even see them activate at all. They're just not going to do anything to an entire unit of Crypt Horrors. Dale knows the ratings on the wall for the skinks. He's just electing to pick them up. So Anthony got his grand strat in the bag. 5-point turn here. Huge priority coming up to see if Dale's able to score any more points or if Anthony's just going to completely walk away with it. Both players definitely going to have their grand strats. Anthony, 100% going to win this game. It looks like Anthony has won the priority. I think we're going into Flesh Eater Quartz, top of 5, ahead 20-14. Anthony did win priority. He is looking over all of his options here. Looks like he's going to end up having to do Lighted Maelstrom. It's a long shot to try to charge his Vargulf. I don't know if he really sees that he could potentially kill this land to deny the Grand Strat. But Anthony fully in driver's seat, head by 6. Lighted Maelstrom is his battle tactic. Long shot for a battle tactic here. He's got to charge the Vargulf.
Okay.
But I'm going to leave you here with Mike badging us for a minute. Mike, how's everything looking in the event? What's going on? Anything special going around tables and matches to watch out for?
Yeah, we'll do. So I just got back walking around, gave about roughly the 15-minute warning here. Tom McGuan came down, finished his game, and still had time on the clock after sleeping in for about 30 minutes, which is kind of hilarious. Just because to show you, if you know, a great player can finish on time even with a large army and giving himself 30 minutes less. So that was pretty impressive to see. You had Caleb Walters and Aaron Newbon play. Really, I don't think that score does that round justice. Aaron had a really great opportunity twice, and some dice failed him a little bit here. Couldn't quite maintain the priority at that point, and just the momentum of Caleb's army was able to get him. Caleb also had to take a risky play eating his own Purple Sun for his monster's actions to keep him off of level 1 so that he'd be safe. If he fails that, he instantly dies, and then that opens game right back up for Aaron, but he did not. His Crown Spine continued to live and level up and really kind of do what that annoying thing does and holds people down. Another couple great games we've got going on. We've got Chris Hernandez and Sergio Ortiz. We've got a Starborn matchup into Soulblight Gravelords. That's coming really down to the wire. Again, 15 minutes left, so hopefully they can wrap that up effectively. And, we did have a Tough Crowd belt match. We had Noah Singh versus Bart Kennelly, and Noah was able to get the belt off of him, so now he's got to see if he has any more defenses here at Nova Open, so that's fun to watch out for. And let's see here. Let me get myself a little acclimated on this game, see what's going on. Anthony's up a little bit. This is great. He's got to lead the Maelstrom play here. Looks like he is just trying to close this out. He's 6 points up. If he can maintain, and again, it's a little hard to see on the camera right now, I'm trying to get a gauge. We've got, see the bridge down there. I'm trying to see where these Seraphon guys are. Okay, cool. Yeah, so, I mean, I really don't see Anthony not getting his 5 here. I don't know his Grand Strat off the top of the head here. I have to look this up on his list. Let me pull that up. I have to assume that Slann being alive is going to be our Seraphon's grand strategy, so I'm not sure if I really see Anthony pushing into denying that one for him. So he's got to be really careful here, making sure that he doesn't allow that Seraphon player to get an easy tactic and 2 objectives, because that'll still keep this score a little tighter. And again, here at Nova, we do have a differential system, so you're trying to really fight for as many points as you can. And Anthony seems to be in kind of a, his game to lose momentum shift here, which is good. Really like that. Anthony's a top-level player, of course, and he knows how to, put on the gas and then keep it up. So this will be great. See if he can close this one out here. I'm trying to pull up his list now to see if I can figure out what his grand strat is. Come on, phone. Hurry up. So let's see. Who we got in the chat here? We got Casper, Damien, Hannah, Ridge. Oh, nice. Ridge is in the chat. Nice. Congrats again, buddy. I know you just became a dad. And then let's see here. We got a couple other things going on. And then, oh, great. We got Emma coming back. Just updated the chat here on what's going on in the Open. A lot of things moving around. I wasn't quite sure. I was trying to get Anthony's list up. I didn't know what his grand strat was.
Anthony's grand strat is already cheap. He's got overshadows.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. Okay.
That's why the Crypt Horrors all in the top right are in No Man's Land.
Gotcha.
They're finishing off some skinks up there.
Nice. Okay.
That was the last battle line.
Cool. That was the only thing I was trying to figure out, because I had to assume that the Savant and Slann being alive was the Seraphons.
Massive redeploy on that Slann Starmaster. That is Dale's grand strat. So there was a chance that Anthony was able to get in there, but fortunately with the Vargulf needing to move in for his battle tactic, it opened up the window.
Oh man, and it was funny too. I couldn't quite tell on the stream where that Slann was, so I'm thinking and I thought it was him, and I even kind of mentioned it doesn't look like Anthony's able to put enough aggression on that. So assuming the Seraphon player is going to get their grand strat, looks like. I'm still kind of curious as to what tactic the Seraphon player will go for on turn 5, and then because I don't see him holding one or two, or two more. I see him maybe holding one, and like so that's still holds him to 6 points total, which is the difference Anthony is currently in, and I see Anthony getting 5 points here at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so
he has leader measures. He needs to make a charge with that Vargolf. That's why that Vargolf came down.
oh, where's he at? I missed that.
He's at the top of the Realm Shaper.
Oh, I see it now. Oh, okay.
Anthony's thinking about it pretty tight, and
There's
the only chance he had was the Vargolf being able to come down and charge, and he knew it was a long opportunity, but there wasn't any other good plays.
Okay. Now, what's this little hero here on the bottom left-hand side of the Seraphon Temple? Yeah, right above your finger there. Who's that?
There's an Astral there.
Okay, so even though the Slan has made a pretty good redeploy, that Astral Bear is definitely still in that Vargolf's threat range for sure. So I mean, like he's still coming there and basically kind of quote unquote whiff attacks, get those horrors in because you do have to keep one of those units, your battle line or the leader, have to be still engaged, right?
And the horrors could easily charge into the Astral Bear and get within 3 croak, and
Yeah.
then kill him croak.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's really the kind of slingshot maneuver Anthony's, I would assume, is setting up.
And also he's put the 10 ghouls on the bottom left so he can't get teleported onto there. He's got a Regent smack in the middle of that top middle objective. So that can be
Oh, I see that now. Okay.
Put the Courtier right in the middle of the table.
I love it. He's done such a great job with very few models still projecting max threat of like no land zones. Oh, did he make it?
He made the charge with the into the slam. That's huge because then you're going to see the crit horrors
Yeah.
are going to charge in Astral Bear, get within 3 croak to make sure that he does have his battle
Nice.
secured.
But that's
and
push the Grand Strat too, which
the
is
Vargolf is a hero, so he can issue himself Feeding Frenzy.
Oh.
And with 2 swings of Vargolf,
Murdering.
there's a chance that he murders the slam and it denies the Grand
Strat.
opponent.
That's big. That's huge.
So this will be 5-point turn for Anthony Trentinelli.
Yeah.
Bring up to 28.
Plus Grand
Plus
Strat?
his Grand Strat,
Yep.
so it'll be up to 28 points.
Perfect.
Max score. His opponent's sitting on 14. If he kills this Slam Star Master, we could potentially see 0-point score to this game here.
Yeah, I mean not only is it a great power piece to target for your opponent, but just looking at this and again reminding the chat that know that we play in differential for scoring here. So like every 3 points or 3 to 4 points that you're denying off your opponent is another level up in the score, which is great.
Absolutely. I think most players probably after the last round might have talked it out a little bit,
Sure.
seeing the writing on the wall,
Yeah.
but every game that we've had on stream too has been playing it out
Good.
all the way to
Awesome.
the end of 5.
Good. That's what you want to see. So that's super exciting. Let me get back to running around trying to help some of these players close out their game. I can't wait to see us get round 5 on here.
One more thought.
Oh
for
yeah,
you.
of course.
What do you think about Noah reclaiming the interdimensional
Oh,
champion
yeah.
of the AoS Multiverse belt for
Already
Tough Crowd?
talked about the chat. I know Noah's very excited for it because he hasn't had the belt in a very, very long time, and he lost his first title match. So that was super fun. I know he's excited to have it back. We'll see. I don't believe there's any other undefeated Tough Crowd at this point. So what we would have to do is similar to last year, and we'll be feeding you guys here in the chat and everyone. We'll stream some information about what some of the matches to look out for of who looks like a win here gets him in the top 8. Because again, with the number of players that we had show up day 1, we do have a ability here to have 2 at least X1 players get into our top bracket, so not just all undefeateds. And I believe there was 4 draws in either round 1 or round 2 that happened, so it gives another opportunity. So we could see as much as 3 X1 players get their way into that top bracket, and then that would be, in my opinion, hilarious if one of those happens to be another Tough Crowd guys, get in the top belt, get paired into Noah round 1 of the top bracket, and take that belt. So there's a lot that has to go for some moving parts, but it's exciting to see, and that's what makes it fun. So cool. I'm gonna get on out of here. I'll feed you guys some information in a bit.
Thank you for joining us.
Yep.
As Mike Baginos of Tough Crowd, one of our judges and TOs here.
So, Anthony already putting some wounds on that Slan with the Vargolf, Feeding Frenzy for that second activation, trying to finish off the Slan Star Master. There he is, the Vargolf with the long bomb charge to get the battle tactic, Feeding Frenzy with the double activation, killing the Slan Star Master, denying Dale's Grand Strat. Massive. Dale currently sitting on 14 points. It's point differentials. Every point matters for Dale, especially in the loss. Try to squeak up, try to get into that top 8 cut. So, one final turn left in this game after this wraps up. Dale will have a Lord Croak, maybe an Astrolith Bearer, and I believe that Skink Star Priest is still alive at the bottom right. And that's it. Every single objective on the table, covered in ghouls. A grand feast for everybody. You're just chomping up, eating those dino nuggets. So Dale does think he does have a small potential chance at a battle tactic, and I think one has opened up because, especially now that the Slan Star Master is dead. So because that Varghulf killed the Slan Star Master, it opens up reprisal for Dale to score. Reprisal is you can only do it if your general's dead, and you have to kill the unit that killed your general. If Lord Croak is still alive here, he's just going to be looking to blast mortal wounds into that Varghulf and take it out. Outside of that, don't see many more points he's going to be able to score. Here we are. Anthony scoring up a 5-point turn. He's on 25. Secured his grand strat. He's going to have 28 at the end of this game. The only question is, how many points can Dale score here? Currently sitting on 14 points. Grand strat is denied. And we'll likely have a reprisal coming out. Check to see the board state, how many summoning points he has, see if he's even able to accomplish anything else. So Dale has elected to do intimidate the invaders to have more outside of his territory than in, which is why he teleported the Astrolith Bearer. I don't know if he saw that he could potentially pick up the reprisal, but maybe reprisal's only melee attacks. Gonna double check that. But don't think there is a single objective that he'll be able to score either on here. So reprisal would have been if an enemy unit destroyed a friendly general earlier in the battle is destroyed this turn. I think that would have been the much better choice here, because all you would have to do is kill the Varghulf. Looks like he was trying to teleport some more stuff out using the bridge to get outside of his territory. I'm going to check to see if it's even possible.
I guess Don already
They know
Ron already down there.
So Dale, seeing that he can't fit another unit. Anthony's got him so screened out where he can't teleport anywhere out there to get outside of his territory. He's looking to use the Soul Screen Bridge to teleport the Star Priest outside of his territory for his battle tactic. Knows he can't do it currently, but he's looking to just put it out there anyway, just in case a spot opens up. I don't think he saw Reprisal as a battle tactic. His heart might sink when he realizes all he had to do was kill the Vargolf. But he is going to summon a bunch of skinks over there and then just have his stuff die in combat, so that way he'll pick up the 2 points here anyway.
Age of Sigma players, that's the end of the game. Time, please, everyone.
And that's it. Final score, Anthony Trentinelli, Hollow Mourn Flesh Eater Courts take it 28 to Dale Irvin's Fangs of Totek Seraphon 16. So 28 to 16. Flesh Eater Courts taking the dub. Flesh Eater Courts, that's right, 4-0 here. So we're going to take about an hour break. Round 5 coverage will begin about an hour from now at 1 p.m. Eastern Time here in the U.S. Coming out of Washington, D.C. After the next round, we'll have the top 8 cut. So the next round will be the decider. Who makes it into the top 8? Players who don't make it into that top 8 cut will be seeded into their own 8-player pods, and each 8-player pod will have their own champion. But obviously, these players at the top level really want to be in that top pod. They really want to say that they were the only 8-0 of this event. So, more coverage coming back here in an hour. But Anthony Trentinelli takes it with Flesh Eater Courts. And we'll see you in about an hour. Enjoy.